Hello, Burn the Fat community. I'm here today with Mark Williams, and we have an incredible story to share with you. Check out these pictures. Look at Mark's journey, 65 pounds down from January of 2024 to August of 2024. We are going to find out how he did it and inspire you to do the same. Stay tuned.
This is Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle, Inner Circle Podcast.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Amy Geddes here again with you on the Burn the Fat Inner Circle podcast. Here today with Mark Williams. Mark is our 2024 Muscle and Physique Men's Champion and also the most ripped champion for this contest. I'm so proud of you, Mark. Wait, we got to get you some clapping here. For cheering.
Thank you.
Wait, can you hear that? There we go.
Yeah. It's great.
Oh, seriously, such good work. You have made an incredible amount of progress. I need you to tell me about it and tell me where you were when you started and what made you want to change.
Sure. So where I was 246 pounds back in January timeframe, December 23, January 24. Heaviest I've ever been. 5'11". So I'm 5'11". Yep. 5'11". I 47 years old now, but then I was 45, turning 46 in January or in August. In January, I went on a cruise with my fiance for her birthday, Caribbean cruise, and it was a great time, but I was in the worst shape of my life. I was heavier than I've ever been. I had a lot of health issues. Basically, I was going to doctors for a while. I was getting heavier. The more heavy I got, the more problems I seemed to have. But it all started with like being tired all the time. My cholesterol then went up. My blood pressure was high. I was having sleep apnea. I was having GERD. I had heart palpitations start developing and things. I kept going to the doctor. I went to specialist to specialist to specialist. And in the meantime, I didn't realize I just kept getting heavier because the less I felt better, the less I felt good, sorry.
You're good.
The worse I felt, the harder it was to be active, and the more run down I felt, the harder it was to keep up with everybody. So, I felt terrible, and I'm a dad with 4 young children. They're 5, 8, 9, and 10. I love them to death, and then I have my fiance and her 2 older boys, who are 20 and 24. So I want to be active. I want to keep up with everybody, and my wife's a little crazy, and it was just getting to be tougher and tougher and tougher to basically just keep up with life, and I felt sick all the time. Just couldn't do the things I wanted to do. And every time I went to a new specialist, they give me 2 or 3 new pills to put me on. And that had side effects, and then I get pills for the side effects. And I felt like I was 100 years old. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. It's an insult to 100-year-olds, because I'm sure there's probably some 100-year-olds out there that could have kicked my butt. So, I really was in terrible shape. And then what kind of sealed the deal for me, because I would try different things, but I would never really commit. I'd see this little fad here, that fad there, try to cut back on this or cut back on that. And, if I didn't get any good results or didn't feel good or whatever, I just kind of move on to the other thing, would fade away. But my fiance said to me, she was upset the one day. She basically talked about how, she's scared that I'm not going to be around. Like, she wants to spend the rest of her life with me. That's why we're engaged. I want to spend the rest of my life with her. And she's like, I think they're going to kill you. Like, they're just going to keep putting you on pills, and you're not going to be here with me. And then that really, I took that to heart. Like, I thought about not being there for my kids, not being there for her, not being there for her boys. And, I said, like, enough's enough. I got to actually, lock down some changes here. So I just decided to go all in, and, it did, but it took a bit. It took, it took me really having that realization that like, I mean, everybody's going to die from something. I just don't want it
Yeah.
to be my fault. Like if I
Yeah.
can control it.
Yeah.
So, and my quality of life was terrible at the time, and this was just 8 months ago, which is crazy because I feel like a completely new man now.
That's amazing. Wow. Tell us, what was the thing you were most afraid of dying of? What did you think
So
was going to get you?
my heart. So actually, I lost my dad several years back to a heart attack, and my fiance had gotten me uh, a new Samsung watch that had the monitors for like heart palpitations and irregular beats and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and you know. I didn't know anything was happening with my heart necessarily. I was getting, like I said, I felt run down. I would get really winded. The dog would take off and I'd go running after her like once in a blue moon, but I feel like I was dying, hyperventilating, just trying to chase down, my dog quick or playing with my kids. I have to stop and take a breath if we're outside in the yard running around and stuff. So I thought I was having asthma issues, things like that. But once I got my watch, it kept going off all the time for regular heartbeats.
Really?
I check it and it would tell me that I'm having this like some sort of episode.
Mm-hmm.
So with the blood pressure and the cholesterol being high and then the heart palpitations or regular heartbeats or whatever they were, um, that's what scared me the most. I thought I was going to just
Yeah.
be here 1 minute and be gone the next. And I went to the specialist and actually I ended up changing hospital, like completely changed doctors because the specialist said, okay, we'll put you on statins. And I heard all these things like about statins. I said, no, I've kind of made the decision already. I've already started to lose weight. I want to do this through diet. I just wanted to get some pointers on what else I should avoid, this and that. Like I'm positive I can do this. I'm already seeing results. And she said, no, no, your numbers as high as they are, it's in your genes. You need to be on pills. She prescribed them, didn't listen to me, and I never took them. I just at the point that by the time I actually got into a heart doctor, I had already lost, I think, 30 pounds. So I was
Wow.
pretty convinced that I can do this. And I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm just going to keep going. And then I'm going to check when my 6 month regular appointment with my regular family doctor is and see how I am. And by the time I got to that 6 month mark, my I was off all but one blood pressure pill. Everything else I was off. I was on 15 pills. I was down to one. Um,
Wow.
and because they had me on like three blood pressure, they wanted me on two different things for cholesterol, like all this crazy stuff. But I had no more sleep apnea. I had no more out of breath, trying to keep up with my kids. All the heart monitoring stuff, they even gave me a heart monitor to take home and stuff. Everything was normal. My cholesterol moved down to the low normal range instead of
Mm-hmm.
off the charts, and my blood pressure with being on one pill has me in the like 110/70 category. And I'm hoping as I keep going on this journey, maybe I could get down a little lower and get off that last pill. But I don't have any adverse effects from that one pill for now. So I'm happy with one pill versus 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel great. My energy levels are great. I get to do all this stuff with my kids. My one son's birthday, we did it at a water park, and I ran around all day with them. And at the end of the day, I realized like I did the whole day. Like I was in, you know, because when you're getting torn in all these different directions with kids, which I love, it's
Yeah.
tough when you're out of shape. But I
Yeah.
ran around, had a blast all day, and by the end of the day, I was like, oh, I still feel good. Like I didn't run out of steam, which is the big, it's crazy.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing to me because I think that's why we do this. This is why we have the podcast. This is why Burn the Fat exists is to help people make those life changes. It's not just vanity. It's not just I want to look good, although that is certainly a benefit,
Yeah,
but it's life changing. It's going from really dying and waiting for your body to catch up, basically,
yeah, yeah.
to living life and living it fully.
Yeah. Like I said, it might, I've noticed, it's not just my quality of life, it's quality of life of the people I love because now my
Yeah.
fiance is not worried about me all the time because I'm constantly, have this or that going on that's wrong with me. We could go do things and adventure together. And my, my kids see it that it went from, you know, jokingly like my 5-year-old, because the truth that comes out of kids' mouths, you know,
Yeah.
my 5-year-old would say things like, "Daddy, you look like you have a baby in your belly," which is like
Right.
horribly embarrassing. Uh, to now telling people that like her dad's the strongest dad in the world. My kids like
Oh.
follow me around wanting to learn to work out and things like that. Like they love it, but it's crazy how big of a difference I've had in 8 months, and it makes everything better for everybody around me as well. So I mean the looking good part, looking better and everything is great, but like you said, the real thing is my real drive behind this was to be there for my family, feel better. And I honestly never thought I thought I'd get results, but I never thought I'd get the results I've got so far. And I don't
Mhm.
plan to slow down. I'm just going to keep going. I'm loving this. So I'm,
Oh.
it's a whole new lifestyle. It's not like a diet or any of those things that never worked when I tried them in the past. It's changing your whole lifestyle for a better life. So
Tell me a little bit more about the different diets that you tried. What was the craziest thing? What kind of worked? Because I want to know how you went from that to really finding burn the fat. Because I
okay,
feel like this is not a magic formula, but it's the formula that makes the most sense because it's
yeah,
crazy and
yeah,
you just do
that's
the work and it works.
yeah, exactly. Well, and that's exactly it. So I've tried. Geez. So, I mean, part of the thing with blood pressure was, the DASH diet, things like that. Now, all those things are fine, like eating lower sodium, trying to do more towards the Mediterranean, all that, but they don't have the components to it. I tried some things like, cutting out a lot of carbs and everything, and all that did was, I lost a lot of weight years ago doing that briefly, and then got more weight back than I started with, more fat than I started with, like
When
all
you
those
went off
things.
the diet, then you
Yeah,
gained it back.
yeah. Because if you try to cut out an entire food group, it's just really not natural.
Hmm.
Everything should be in balance. Like the extremes of eating bad for me got me to this point. So the extremes of going another way isn't going to really necessarily fix it. Like there's no magic
Yeah.
bullet. Like you have to put in hard work, and it's kind of slow. I mean, I think my results were fast, but they're not overnight. Nothing is overnight. Nothing is like, hey, do this one trick and it's going to work for you.
Yeah.
So
But it was
you
on the
need a
internet. It
plan.
must be true. Somebody
Yeah,
said
yeah.
there was a one trick.
Yeah, and
But
it's always people that look amazing telling you how to get to look
yeah.
like them, But then you see crazy stuff like don't eat bananas, they slow down your metabolism. Look, I was fat. It wasn't because I was eating too many bananas. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it wasn't like things like that, So like I said, I tried low carb. I I tried working out here and there a little bit, just with dumbbells I had, old set of dumbbells, but I never had a plan or a purpose. I do something
Mhm.
inconsistently and you don't get any real results. I try to eat a little better, like less processed foods, but again, I wasn't tracking calories. I wasn't doing, I
Mhm.
didn't realize how much I actually ate a day and drank a day, and not alcoholic, but drank like, I would drink Gatorades. I love
Mhm.
Gatorade. Um, but I was drinking over 1,000 calories of Gatorade
Oh, wow.
because they're high calorie. They have all these electrolytes and stuff.
Mhm.
It's good for you, right? But when you're drinking 1,000 calories or more a day of just something that you think is a healthy drink, you don't have much more to go for the food that you're eating. And then
Yeah.
I, with my job and the kids and stuff, I would be running around where I wouldn't eat for hours, and then I'd be starving, and
Mhm.
I'd grab whatever was there, a bag of Cheez-Its and or um, some cold cuts out of the fridge like real quick, or I'd always eat all the extra stuff. My kids don't like the crust on their bread, so you cut all the crust off and you're eating the crust of the breads and something. Not any of those things are bad, horribly bad on their own, but all of that would add on top of me stopping at Wendy's to get a baconator,
Yeah.
burger and things like. And it adds up to thousands and thousands of calories that just kept adding on the weight slowly. So
Mhm.
and you get less and less healthy, and you get more and more out of shape, and you want to do less and less activities because you feel worse, and it's just like a slippery slope. So,
Yeah. What before okay, before you had the 65 pounds to lose, before you gained that 65 pounds, how long do you think it took you to get to the point where you were that overweight?
um, I've been that for it's probably a couple years at least.
Hmm.
But I was never as small as I was now. I mean, at least not since I was like young.
Hmm.
Um, but it took me a couple years to get up to that weight. And again, it was problems that like I always had lots of excuses, and they're legitimate to a point.
Yeah.
But again, I've got 4 kids. I'm really busy. I travel a lot for work. I eat on the road. I have a bad lower back that acts up at times. I have a bad left shoulder. Like all these things,
Yeah.
like everything that I ever did that was cool in my youth on dirt bikes and quads or adventuring or whatever. I feel every time I've ever hurt myself in my youth and didn't care about it, I feel now at 47. So,
Oh,
um, but again, I always thought those things would keep me from doing what I want to do. Like I'm past my prime of actually getting into really good shape.
mhm.
It's just how it happens, and that's not the case. That's not the truth, of how it has to be. And I never, I'm not a big, huge cardio guy. And if it was like you had to lose weight because you're going to sit around eating rice cakes and really boring stuff like that, like anytime I've tried to do that type of stuff, it's just like torture. Like I'd rather
Yeah.
be fat and enjoy the last years of my life. Terrible. But that's what I love about Tom's book and his elements and the way you do it. It makes sense, and he's like he says in the one. I don't have the direct quote, but it's like if you want to live on Twinkies and pizza, you can. It's just you're only going to get that much when you count your calories. So
Yeah, I
it's
know.
not. But at the end of the day, a calorie deficit is the number one way you lose weight, and if you're not tracking your calories, you really have no idea what your tally is for the day and how much over your amount of calories that you need you're actually getting to add all that fat on over time. So
Yeah. Yeah, I know math is math. It's so annoying sometimes. It just doesn't lie.
yeah. Well,
It either.
and I'm an electrical engineer by trade.
Okay.
And so I like things I like things that make sense.
Mm,
So a lot of times, we see something on TV about, do 100 sit-ups a night for, 30 days and you'll do this. Like, I like that stuff doesn't work necessarily.
yeah.
Tom's plan was here's the math, here's actual calculations, here's where you're at. If you do nothing but put in this many calories a day, you'll stay the same weight. If you do over, you'll gain weight. If you do under, you lose weight. And then you
Yeah.
add this component on top of it of weightlifting, and then you add this component on top of it of cardio, and so on and so forth. Mental, setting goals, all that kind of stuff. And have a support and feedback loop system. And it all made very logical sense. And I'm like,
Hmm.
all right, it makes sense to me. I don't know if it's going to work, but this one at least I can see the path that you're going down and the math for it, and I like that, so I figured I'd give it a shot.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, it seems so obvious when you look at it that way, when you read the elements and you're like, well, that makes perfect sense. But
Yeah,
then it's the mental game, I think, is the biggest one, the deciding to do it. You had a very clear why. And
yeah.
then so what was your I mean, clearly you had a strong why, so you had a lot of reasons to do it, but how did you get yourself through every day? Because when you've got a hurt shoulder or your back is acting up and you're feeling maybe unmotivated that day, how did you get yourself back into it? How did you go again?
Um, so it really, I kind of, it was kind of a slow process for me. I actually read Tom's book. Well, because again, I commute a lot for work. I drive
Hmm.
every other week. I go to Maryland, and I live in
Oh,
Pennsylvania. So I started listening to Audible books,
mm,
and that's how I found Tom's book. Found the book. I thought it looked kind of neat. I had extra credits. I got the book. I started listening to it on my drives of November into December
mm,
down to Maryland, and it seemed to make a lot of sense. But again, the timing kind of was bad. It was like, you know,
Christmas.
December, Christmas, my youngest daughter's birthday, so there's cake and stuff, the cruise with
Yes.
my, fiance in January, buffets, all that kind of stuff,
Yep.
um, but, you know, I really started to apply it in January after we got back from the cruise because again, she said that line to me about, you know, wanting to make sure I was around. And she
Yeah.
really thought that I was going to get taken from her too soon. And I thought about how I felt with, losing my dad too soon. And I didn't want to do that to my kids or my stepsons to be or my fiance who was amazing. I wanted to be in everybody's lives for as long as possible. So
Yeah.
I always had that drive in the back of my head after that clicked for me, that
Mm-hmm.
kept me going. Um, but really in February's like about February timeframes when I started lifting more, I started applying the extra principles and I started writing down the short-term goals, the long-term goals, affirmations, things like that. All those things that Tom suggests, but I actually did. It's funny, you listen to the book and he says, this is the part people skip and then they don't
Mm-hmm.
get the results they want, and then they come back and they re-listen to this part, and then they do it, and then they get the result.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but that's exactly what happened. Come February,
Mm-hmm.
I went back, I'm listening to the book some more. I've gotten, I think I went from 246 to 238 by mid-February by just
Wow.
mainly calorie counting and trying to cut out all the processed foods or a lot of the processed foods and
Mm-hmm.
lifting a little bit. But then when I went back and listened to it again, I started the primer program and then eventually into the New Body 28, program. I wrote down the affirmations. I wrote down my short and long term goals. I actually made my screensaver on my phone, my, my goal so that I can see it all the time every time I took out my
Yeah.
phone. Um, and that mental part of it really made a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, my fiance, like let's say social support, my kids, her sons and her were instrumental in it. She for Christmas, she bought me a pair of Select Tech dumbbells. So I didn't have to use
Oh,
the old
nice.
clanky stuff I had. So I had a bench and dumbbells at home. I thought about joining a gym at first, but I was that exact guy that he mentions in the book that says like I join a gym, but I have to get in shape first. That's
Yes.
exactly how I felt.
Yes.
As much as he finds that funny, I'm like that's it. That's me. Yeah, I'm not going to
Yep.
go there and look
Yep.
like a noodle arm overweight guy that can't do anything or doesn't know how to hook anything up. And I asked a
There's
lot of
plenty of
newbie
them there. It's
questions.
okay.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Now that I go to the gym all the time, I'm like, that was stupid to think like that. But
Yeah.
it is your original mindset when you're not a
Yeah.
gym goer.
It's
Um,
true.
so, so I
And it's
started at
scary at
home.
first.
It is, you see, and what I had to come to the realization on that stuff is like every one of those like big built fit guys in the gym started somewhere, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They all had their initial. It's not, looking at somebody like, oh, what's that guy doing here? It's them
Yeah.
seeing you come back all the time and they start, talking to
Yeah.
you and everything. It's a nice community. But at
Yeah.
first it was really intimidating. So I stayed home and lifted off of the, Select X, which was great, that,
Yeah. But you
and
did
I
it.
love
You
that time.
started.
I started, yeah. And I stuck to the plan. I followed his primer program. Then I followed the TNB 28 program, the mental aspects. I started working out a little cardio too. I always hated cardio, but I started with the 10,000 steps a day. That was my first
Nice.
goal. And it was cute
Mm-hmm.
because I would actually I'd get to 7,000 or 6,000 by the end of the day, and I'm home and I have all my kids and stuff, and it's raining out. So I just started saying like I'm going to get to 10,000 no matter what. So I'd walk in circles from the living room through the kitchen into the dining room back around again, and my kids would start following me like a Pied Piper. Like we would be doing these little walks around the house in circles until I hit my 10,000. But they joined
Oh,
in. It
that's
was
cute.
great, really cute. So,
And good
um,
for them too, right?
yeah,
We all need our
yeah,
10,000 steps, just
yeah.
because you're younger is no reason not to start.
Exactly. So they started enjoying walking with me and stuff, or hanging out when I lift, and the little 2 pound weights that they practice
That's
with and
cute.
stuff. So, but it was that consistency. It was getting the actual plan going and applying all the elements and being consistent. But every time I felt like I didn't want to do it or I couldn't do it, I really would think about, being around for for my to be wife and stepsons and my kids. And that was my goal. And I'd forced myself to at least get started. That
Yeah.
was my biggest thing is if I didn't want to do it, I say, all right, today's chest day, just, do your first set of first 12 reps for bench press. And if and then see how you feel. And then if you do a little more and you don't feel like it, just quit and you try again. And I found that as long as I can get started with working out, as long as I could get started on some of that stuff, it's like I already got changed. I already broke out the the bench and everything. I would go
Right.
through the whole workout, but it was just I had to get myself over that little mental like hill at first to just get started. And same thing when I started joining the gym. It's like, all right, just get to the gym, go home if you don't, still feel like it. So I just forced myself to get rolling. And once I
Mhm.
got rolling, I just that momentum would go, and by the end, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm an hour and a half in. I better go." So
Oh, I have to quit already? I know
yeah,
that's the thing. You get going and then you're like, wait, I feel really good. I feel so strong. I
yeah,
lifted all of that. Do you keep track of your workouts on an app or anything? Do you
yeah,
track your tonnage and what app do
yeah.
you use?
I use an app called Strong.
Okay.
Um, and it's pretty basic, but it works really well. It was like again, I know there's different ones out there, but I found the Strong app. You're able to program in everything that you want. So I programmed in the TNB 28
Hmm.
for the different days with the workouts. And then I switched to now I do the 4x4 muscle and physique from the site. So I programmed those
Nice.
days in. And I get to, kind of track my progress, and it has a timer. Every time you finish a set, you hit the little check mark and you set how long, if it's a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, depending on what I'm doing. So the timer will beep in my, in my earpiece and stuff to know that it's time for the next set and so on. So it's good. It keeps me right on track. And then for
Yeah.
calorie counting, I use, the My Fitness Pal.
Hmm.
Uh, I found that was at first that was my biggest thing was the calorie deficit, and
Yeah.
like I said, I had no idea the amount of calories I was putting in my body. Even days I thought I was eating good,
Hmm.
because I cut this out or cut that out, of still thousands and thousands of calories.
Wow.
So
How
once I
many?
started tracking, it was great.
Yeah, once you started tracking, did you look at it and go, wow, I ate 5,000 calories today? Did you track everything, or did you come
Yeah.
up with a plan first and say, I'm trying to hit this many calories, and then you were heartbroken when you're like, 2,400 calories is like
No,
nothing.
at first I just started tracking loosely. Like I said, I started this whole thing kind of loose.
Hmm.
I wasn't sure if it was going to work. I wanted to do it, but I didn't jump in and say, okay, I'm going to like get on all this. I started with the diet part first, the deficit, I should say, not diet.
Yeah.
Um, but when I started tracking, I was like, oh my God, like what I thought was a healthy day was still, 1,500 over maintenance, that type of thing.
Hmm.
So then I wasn't at meal prep yet. I was just
Hmm.
kind of starting to track. Like I said, it was slow. When I say slow, that December I kind of started to about mid-February, and then mid-February I just said I was on it and I was on all the elements. So it's like 2.5 months there. Um, but yeah, I would say, all right, I got to cut out the Gatorades. I started giving myself, I went and started getting like the zero sugar Gatorades and limited myself to like one a day,
Hmm.
still, because they still have calories, but just not as nearly as many.
Yeah.
And I started to adjust more. I was tracking my macros at first. My macros were 50% carbs, and about 30% protein and about 20% fat. And I was trying to make sure that I got 1 gram per pound of fat, or per pound of body weight for my protein intake. And I
Hmm.
stuck with that through the whole thing. The only thing I adjusted is as I got leaner, I switched to like a 40-40-20 ratio of macros. So
Mm.
40% protein, 40 carbs, 40 fat. When I did the 12-week challenge, that was kind of what I
Hmm.
stayed in there. Um, but yeah, I got to the point where tracking showed me how much I was off, and then allowed me to start cutting back and cut back more and cut back more. And by mid-February, I had myself on like a 500 calorie deficit, and by the end of February, I was down to about 1,000 calorie deficit. And I was,
Wow.
yes, and that's what I stayed on. I stayed from, towards the end of February right through now on a 1,000 calorie deficit. about
So you're losing
30%
it pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah.
You're gaining a
I
pound a
was trying to
week.
do I was doing 2 pounds,
Oh, 2 pounds a week. That's right.
2 pounds a week. Yeah. So I
I
was
kind of
doing two
was wrong.
pounds a week. Yeah. But the math actually worked. I mean, it was one of those
Yeah.
things where as long as you look at it as an average, um, I was actually at first, I lost more than 2 pounds a week. I had so much to lose and some of it was water weight and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then as things thinned out, I was pretty consistent with 2 pounds a week. Might be, one and a half one week, two and a half another week, but it averaged out to about 2 pounds a week. So the math works nicely.
Yeah. Well, and I found that same thing when I did it too. My husband and I, he actually went through something very similar. And I was like, I do not want to be a widow in 10 years. That doesn't appeal to me. And so I kind of made him, I became the person that was like, we are doing this. And,
Yeah.
same thing. He lost and was discharged from, it was fatty liver that he was dealing with and
Oh,
things like that. So, but it was scary. They're like, basically, this will kill you. And we're like,
yeah.
what? So, yeah,
Yeah.
but it was the math. It was okay. All you have to do is follow this. My problem now, and I want to know if this is your problem ever, is
Okay.
being disappointed at the number of calories that you're allowed in the day when you get to like your max and you're like, I still want to eat. How do you handle that so that you maintain your deficit? Or how do you make sure that you're satisfied with the foods that you have eaten within your allotment?
That took a little while, especially going from eating a lot.
Hmm.
Like I'm eating a lot.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't shy away. Like, I'm starving. I go to Wendy's, I get a Baconator, like supersized, and then it's like, oh, regular fries are just way too healthy. I need the bacon and cheese fries on top of that. Like I'd really pack it on, and it was just stupid, but it was delicious.
Yeah. It tastes
But it's
really
not,
good.
yeah, yeah, but it's not worth it. So as I cut my calories, I had to kind of get myself into the mindset of, you know, it's easy to get out of shape. It's easy to put on weight. You know, I'm not actually starving. Like I'm cutting my calories. I'm not actually starving. I'm very hungry, but hunger isn't going to kill me.
Hmm.
Not at this level. I've already eaten this many calories today. Um, I don't need a lot more.
Hmm.
I want it, but I'm fine. I made adjustments as I went to make that part easier, but I had a mental mindset that like, it's not like you're starving.
Yeah.
You're not, you're not going to be sick because you didn't eat enough food today or anything like that. You just crave it and you want it. And that's what got you into this position in the first place. And there's never an end in it because when I got this much bigger, I wanted this much more food. And when I got this much bigger, I want this much more food. So
That's
like
true.
if I let myself start going down that slope again, I'm going to put on all this weight again. So
Hmm.
um, some of the things that really helped me was um, I, I shot for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, but I actually usually did even a little bit more. I found
Mm.
that protein really satisfies me. So I made sure, and again, it's all the stuff that Tom recommends, but if you follow it, it helps, is that making sure I'm getting, probably more than I need of protein in every meal, maybe 30, 40 grams of protein per meal for my size. Splitting out my meals a little bit more throughout the day, so I don't have like a big meal and then I'm like empty for a while and then a big meal.
Yeah.
If I did 5 or 6 throughout the day, I wasn't having the cravings as bad. And then I would allow
Perfect.
myself some not even cheat meals, but some treats. But the treats were more like my treats were more condiments. Like I have a grease tooth and a sweet tooth.
Uh,
Um, so I'm like, it says, you could stay about 10% could be from junk or whatever
yeah.
per day. Well, instead of eating bad food, because I actually like, I found that I like all the healthier foods. I'm
Yeah.
fine with 99% lean ground turkey. I'd
Yeah.
make a lean ground turkey meatloaf or burgers or whatever. But like my treat to myself is that I'm gonna put, Buffalo Wild Wings, spicy garlic hot sauce on there, a teaspoon of it or whatever. But that's, that kind of stuff. Or I like, I make egg white omelets every morning with mushrooms and spinach, and some fat-free feta and Old Bay hot sauce. Not a ton, but some. But
Yeah.
I like those extra flavor. Like I like having my condiments. So. Um, that
Does
helped
Old
me
Bay
feel
have any
satisfied.
calories?
It does, but it's lower. It's more sodium. So like I keep my and I watch my sodium because of my blood pressure. But I'm like, all
Makes
right,
sense.
if you calculate everything, it's like okay, I take my almost my entire day's worth of sodium out of just using Old Bay today, and then keep
Oh,
everything
yeah.
else off, and I'm fine. I use Mrs. Dash for a lot of stuff, but planning it all out so that you're able to kind of get so you're eating stuff that you actually enjoy. You're enjoying the flavors of the things that you're eating. Yeah, I still have some sauces and things like that that I'm putting on stuff, but I'm making sure I'm staying within my guidelines for the day. And I
Yeah.
gave myself a sliding scale a little bit too. If I was really, really, struggling someday, like I'm at 1,000 calorie deficit, it's okay to go to 500, for that
Yeah.
day. Like don't beat myself up over it. I'm still in a deficit as long as I'm under maintenance. So, in the beginning, I had more of those days where I kind of yo-yoed a little bit to higher calories, but still a deficit.
Hmm.
And then as my body got more used to eating less and less food, I stayed more consistent on those days of, the 1,000 calorie deficit, and it got easier and easier. And I grew to like the stuff. And then there's some things I did that, like in the beginning, I used to say like I'm a reverse vegetarian. That was another one of my problems is like I
Uh-huh.
just loved eating meat, lots of meat products, So,
Meat's
I
great.
wasn't
Tastes
much
good.
yeah, wasn't much for vegetables and stuff. So actually, how I started with the veggies is I got a juicer and I started juicing
Hmm.
vegetables and fruits. And part of it was because of my blood pressure and stuff. I would make beetroot juice every morning with mixed with apples and kale and
Oh.
stuff. And I actually started liking it. Um, and then, I obviously whole vegetables are better than the juiced ones, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, but my options aren't that I'm going to eat whole vegetables versus juice. My options are I'm going to, you know, suck down like ice cream and cookies or, you
Or
know,
juice.
yeah, it's just better
Good
than
trade-off.
this. Yeah, so I would make like these sweeter fruit veggie juice mixes and stuff, and I've kept that. I've started to eat lots of veggies now and lots of different fruits and
Mm.
things like that, but I still have my beetroot juice every morning. It's like beetroot, kale, um, ginger, and apple, mixed together,
Wow.
and I love it. But that
And
got me
that's good for
started.
your it's good for your blood pressure. Is that something you
Yeah,
recommended or just
yeah.
something you researched?
That was something that I did some research on because I was looking for ways to try to help, anything that could help push my blood pressure down a little bit too.
Hmm.
And you know, my thought is I don't know if all this stuff 100%, these studies and those studies, but I figure like it doesn't hurt drinking beetroot and apple. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not going to hurt me. So I started doing that. I feel, that started making me feel a lot better as well, just getting the vegetables in that way. And then I started to eat more vegetables and cook beets and, cook, all kinds of like I have vegetables with every meal now, which I really didn't eat vegetables before. But I changed
And
my whole lifestyle.
and you're cruising. I love it. Have you ever seen those love beets at the store?
No, I haven't seen those.
I really like those. They used to carry them at sometimes the regular grocery stores have them. Sometimes Costco will have them. I don't know what you've got where you are, but they're pre-cooked beets that are shrink wrapped.
Oh, okay.
They're not canned. They're not pickled. They're just like boiled, and it makes them
Yeah,
really fast because beets are kind of a pain to prepare if you get
yeah,
them fresh from scratch. But
yeah.
anyway,
Oh,
I like those.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, because now
You
I,
see
I do.
them.
I like beets and I like tons of different vegetables and fruits now. So, but I still drink I make every Sunday I make a whole batch of vegetable juice, and then I drink it every day throughout the week and make it again on Sunday, along with my other food prep. So,
Oh, so you just make it. Oh, does it last that long? It seems like when I've juiced, it separates or kind of gets gross looking. It doesn't last.
no, so I got these like vacuum seal containers that
Mm.
it's basically like the oxygen, I guess that keeps it from lasting. So you just kind of suck out the air, kind of like
Oh,
people can stuff, same
yeah,
type of idea. And I can make it once a week, and it lasts for the week. So I have my little glass of beetroot juice every morning.
that's amazing. What a great
Yeah,
idea. So it's a vacuum sealer, huh?
yeah,
For for jars. You just put
yeah,
it like in a mason jar and vacuum
yeah.
seal it.
Yep, yep,
That's
and it
cool.
lasts nicely. So yeah. and like I said, that was my start. Everything was like little steps along the way to get started for the first couple months, um, but then it all came together, and it really, the more you look in the mirror, or get on the scale, and notice the difference, the more you want to do even more. And what I found is when I really got to the point where I followed the plan completely, uh, it just everything worked exactly like it was described that it would work, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of it, if you start slow, it'll work. It's fine. But then you want to get to the point where you're actually doing the plan as written as much as possible. And then the other thing is just being honest about yourself. Like, I know, you know, when I thought I was eating better than I was at times,
Hmm.
I really wasn't. I had this in my head that, I'm eating this healthier thing here, this healthier thing there, but I'm not adding all the other stuff in. So when I started counting calories, it's like if I put like I said, a teaspoon of Buffalo Wild Wing sauce on it, no problem. But you count the teaspoon of Wild Wing sauce that you, you put on it. Count every condiment, every single thing. Like I was entering absolutely everything, even stuff like I found this 0 calorie syrup sweetener that I would use
Hmm.
for some things that I like to have, like honey or whatever, and
Yeah.
besides. Um, but I know, there's no such thing as 0 calories, like less than 4 calories, so it could count as zero. So for every serving, I would just put in the app that it's 4 calories, so
Hmm.
bump it up a little higher, 'cause that way I can track it.
Hmm.
Um, but I tracked everything right down to, like I said, anything that said zero, I would just put in 4 calories and track that too. So that I was be real honest with myself of exactly how much I was taking in every day. So I don't have to go there and go, but I ate so little today and I still gained weight. Like
Yeah.
you have to be consistent, and you have to be, really on it as far as, making sure that you're being honest with yourself about what you're actually putting in your body. If you take 4 chips, then put in 4 chips. It's not the end
That's
of the
40
world, but you got to
calories.
track it. But you got to track it.
You do. Oh,
Yeah,
that's so inspiring. It's really, really inspiring because it really does work. I
yeah,
mean, you can't deny it. It's calories in versus calories out, regardless of how you feel about it.
yeah.
Math is math, you know?
Yep. And that whole thing about like you can't, outwork a bad diet, like it's exactly
Yeah.
true. Like if you're like in the past, if I tried doing a bunch of cardio or whatever, and I didn't change my diet, like nothing would happen. It
Hmm.
wouldn't get anywhere. But with this, again, I'm not a huge cardio person, but the adding the 10,000 steps in a day or more, tracking that, tracking my calories to make sure I had that deficit, weightlifting religiously 4 times a week. I think out of the last 8 months, I've missed 2 total weeks, altogether that I
Wow.
didn't get to lift.
That's impressive.
So yeah,
Since
I
you were on
really stuck to
vacation,
that.
probably those weeks.
No, no, I did vacation
Oh,
too. Having alternate plans too.
yeah.
During the 12-week challenge, there was all the mini challenges, and I really loved those. I
Hmm.
did all 12 mini challenges.
Wow.
Um, I found that they reinforced Tom's principles really well. And there's certain things like the one was like, if then this, like if I run into this issue, I'm going to do A, B, or C as my alternatives.
Hmm.
That helped me a ton, throughout the last year because, again, my life's a little crazy. I where I live, I'm 3.5 hours from my job, which I work from home half the time, and I have my kids half the time, so that works out perfect. But then every other week I go down to Maryland and work, so I'm living out of a hotel for half the time.
Yeah.
And again, I would eat terrible on the road, but I started packing my cooler, meal prepping, all that, bring the food with me, and I'm set. I'm eating right on track when I'm gone away on the road.
Wow.
I got this membership through my health insurance.
Uh-huh.
It's like a multi-gym membership. So instead of being just my local gym, I made sure my local gym was part of it, but I get to sign up at Crunch Fitness in Scranton, which is my local gym.
Hmm.
My fiance lives an hour from me right now until we combine. So when I go up to her house, there's another fitness place up there that I'm a member of through this. And then when I went to Maryland, I joined a gym out there as well. So
Hmm.
wherever I'm at, wherever I'm staying, I can make sure I get to the gym and not miss it. When I was on the cruise, I hit the gym on the ship, so I,
Awesome.
I found that I actually love weightlifting, which I never thought I'd be a gym person at all, but I
Yeah.
love it. So, but having those, if this, then this, like bringing your food with you, packing it ahead of time. I got a little portable digital scale that bring with me on the road so I can know I ate 8 ounces or 6 ounces or 4 ounces of whatever, So, but you can make all the excuses in the world, but it's really not that bad to pack a couple measuring spoons and a
That's true.
scale and find some alternatives for even if you work out in uh, the gym at the hotel or whatever. But I like that I found this option with the multi membership that really worked out
Yeah.
well for me. So I tried to just stick to that. I had a lot of support on the inner circle. Tom's great. He responds to things. Like I said, I've always had the bad back and the bad shoulder, which kept me going. Really, the bad back. I mean,
Yeah,
and
that's hard when you're
my
trying to lift.
Yeah, yeah. So there's lots of alternative exercise. There's stuff like I actually can't do a lot of the traditional compound exercises that are recommended. I probably would have had even
Okay.
better results if I could. But deadlifts, squats, overhead presses, like those nice big compound movements, I did. I worked my way up to trying to do some heavy barbell squats, and my hands went numb for 3 days because of the pinched nerves in my back and stuff. I'm like, that's probably not for me. You know, I tried lighter weight and stuff, but it just every time I did it, it aggravated. It's just the way it put pressure on me. So I found out I couldn't do squats, I couldn't do overhead presses, I couldn't do um, deadlifts. So I went on the site, asked some questions. Tom wrote back this huge thing about, working around lower back pain, mobility exercises, strengthening your core. I followed his advice, and then alternative exercises. You have the whole exercise index in there. So instead of, doing something compound, I might have to do um, more isolated exercises like leg press and things like that. But it all adds
Yeah.
up to me, getting my workouts in, and it's great because now I don't have the pressure on my lower back.
Yeah.
So so I was
Well,
able
you're
to build up
probably
my core.
stronger everywhere else to support that.
Yeah, and I work on my lower back. I do exercises to help strengthen it, but I'm not doing stuff anything that's like compresses down on my lower back. I've kind of eliminated, but I still got excellent results. So, instead of saying, "Oh, well, I can't," that would have been my past. I tweaked
Yeah.
my back, it's already hurting. Forget lifting, you
Yeah.
know, and move on. I just kept going. I worked around the aggravation of my lower back. It went away, and then I just kept continuing on with these alternate exercises, and it worked fantastic. And that's what I still do today. So,
Wow. I'm so impressed. I'm impressed with your dedication and exactness. When you follow things exactly, they work exactly how they said. A lot of people don't want to believe that. They want to think
yeah,
that they can wing it. They want to think that they don't need to write down their goals or that maybe they don't need help. But when you do it, it works. Does
it
your
does.
family does your family eat the way you do? You said they like to, your kids like the weightlifting, but do they like to eat
Yeah.
all the vegetables and stuff now?
Now everybody's, yeah. So in the beginning, again, set a bad example. It's, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But things have actually improved everywhere along the way. Like I said, my fiance has been in unbelievably supportive. My fiance Danielle, she's an amazing woman. Hence, I'm marrying her. Um,
Congrats.
yeah, thank you. But she supported me through this whole thing, and then she started doing some of this as well. So she actually lost almost 30 pounds
Oh,
herself, and she didn't start. She didn't start when I started. It took a little longer, but she started later, and she dropped 30 pounds. Her
my
sons have
goodness.
lost a combined 40 pounds between the two of them, and they're in their 20s. And my kids started exercising with me. Everybody's eating much better, leaner meats, fruits and vegetables, things like that. So, like her sons and my fiance, her sons, and me all count calories. Obviously, my little kids, I don't count calories,
Right.
but everybody's eating healthier. Everybody kind of jumped in on this with me, which is a big part of the
Yes.
support. So, and while the challenge was going on, I started a team. So I entered individually, but then I also, when they said, "Oh, like, you could enter as a team," I threw a post out there saying looking for team members, I'm like, I figured I'm all in. I want to
Yeah.
do this even though it's my first challenge. I only joined the inner circle in mid-April. Because again,
Wow.
this is my first year weightlifting, my first year following anything. But I wanted to have a team, so a bunch of great people came together. We formed Jacked in the Box was our team name,
That's a good name. I like
and
it.
yeah, and we just supported each other. And having that extra accountability with my family, the extra accountability with the team, and the accountability on the forum itself in the inner circle, all of that really helps keep you on task and on target.
Hmm.
Because I don't want to let down my family. I didn't want to let down my team. I want to do well. So again just another element of it that you need to have in order to really succeed. So
The extra
that's great.
why. The why on
Yeah,
top of your why. You already had a great why, and now you had even
yeah,
more motivation. I love
yeah,
that because I think really having your family on the same page as you makes a huge difference. Those people right around you. I mean, we have the inner circle in Burn the Fat, but you also have your physical inner circle with your family. And if you're all on
yeah.
board, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I want to set a good example. I guess I didn't really realize, like, again, my children are 5 to 10 years old, that
Yeah.
it's the range, they're young. And, I'd rather them see their dad working out all the time, see their dad eating health. Like they talk about health now all the time. They
Yeah.
talk about, being in shape, feeling healthy, things like that. Like if you don't set a good example, they're just going to follow whatever you do. So,
Yeah.
I want to be the best parent I can, and I love them to death, and I would do anything for them. But here I am not taking care of myself for so long, and it's inadvertently, besides impacting them from my health standpoint, is they're not learning the good habits that they should either. So
Hmm.
all of that has really changed over the last 8 months, and I feel a lot better about where they're at and where they're going to be in their lives by following this and wanting to work out or walk or eat better than they did in the past. So it really it's huge to get to be a better role model to them because that's really what I want. I want them to be healthy, productive, little humans in the world,
Yes.
and they've really uh, you know uh, taken charge of things for themselves as well by watching me. And
Hmm.
like I said, my fiance and my stepsons as well. Like everybody's doing it, so and everybody's getting results. And I've had friends reach out to me that's seeing some of my pictures online and stuff and ask me about it. I tell them all about Burn the
Wow.
Fat. Yeah,
Yeah.
uh, my fiance. I went to a pool party and hadn't seen everybody since the last year's pool party and stuff. So it's the time 66 pounds difference between last year's party and this year's party. And
Yeah.
my people are coming up to me. My buddy that throws the party every year is like, "This is the best I've seen you look in a decade." So he's like,
Well,
"Keep it
thank
up. It's
you.
amazing." Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like it's amazing. Like people are nice. They don't point out that you're
Oh, yeah.
getting heavy or whatever. And like Danielle and I, my fiance, we love each other, so we don't even really see it on each other as we were kind of gaining weight together and stuff
Yeah.
because it's the woman I love. I don't. But when you look back at pictures and things and stuff, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I was like the one you showed. Like I can't believe I was that heavy on the cruise at Virgin Gorda. Like
Yeah.
I don't even recognize that guy now. So it's great to have that support of your family and friends and things to keep you going.
Well, and it's wonderful to know, of course, they love you anyway, no matter what you look like.
Yep.
But it's really nice to know that you're healthy together and
Yes.
that
Yeah.
you're healthy for the long haul and that, like you say, you'll be around for them. You'll be
Yeah.
able to enjoy the time you have with them. You're not just there physically, you're there, or like, you're not just a warm body. You're there to participate and actively live life with them and make those memories. It makes all the
Yeah.
difference in the world. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
it does. It does. And when I went back to my family doctor, it was funny. He was shocked because he hadn't seen me, and
Right.
he just kept saying, he's like, you've added years to your life. Like, I said, oh, that's great. He's like, no, you don't understand. Like, he was more excited than me, I think, because he's like,
Uh-huh.
we tell people all the time, here's all these pills, here's all this stuff, but like, you really need to get healthier. You really need to do this. You really need to do that. He's like, They don't listen. You know, he's like, so they get pills. He's like, but
Well,
he's like, you've changed your entire life. Like you've added decades to your life. I'm telling you right now. I'm like, he was thrilled with me. I was like his new favorite patient or something.
you're the favorite. I love it. Well, what you need to do is give him a whole stack of Burn the Fat books, and then he can
Yeah,
pass those out because
there you go.
doctors say you need to lose weight, you need to get healthy, but nobody tells you how to do it.
Yeah,
And
you need a
you
plan.
need the plan. Yeah.
Yeah, you need a good solid plan that works, and Tom's plan is a good solid plan that works. If you follow it and do the tracking and cover all the elements, like I said, even if you cover just a couple elements to start because you're not sold like I wasn't at first,
Yeah.
you still start seeing results. Like the calorie counting out of everything, the calorie counting was the biggest part of it to start with.
Yeah.
Because you just don't even understand how much you're eating every day versus what your body actually needs, and then how much below that it is to start actually seeing a pound or two drop off.
Yeah.
And then once you get that down, the weightlifting is absolutely, going to help you maintain. I didn't also want to get small and just be like a small, skinny guy.
Yeah.
Like I like the idea of burn the fat, feed the muscle. Like I like the idea of putting on size as well. So, I gained, I don't know how much muscle I gained during like the whole phase, but in the 12 weeks for the challenge, I gained 3 pounds of muscle, which I was healthy with
That's
being in a
amazing.
1,000 calorie deficit. I lost like
Yeah.
26 pounds, over 11% body fat, and I still gained 3 pounds of muscle.
That's
And
incredible.
yeah, and I
Way
went
to
from a
go.
size 40 on my pants just kept getting bigger. I kept making a joke about my terrible laundry, that shrinks all my clothes, like a fat guy joke. But but I went from a size 40 pants down to a 32 now.
That's
So I'm
incredible. So eight
super
inches
happy.
down,
Yeah,
65 pounds lost, 3 pounds of muscle gained, and your body fat percentage went from
it went
what
from
was it?
26 and change to 14.8.
That's amazing. That is seriously so incredible.
Yeah.
What a huge jump.
Yeah, the only thing I
Well,
noticed is that I messed up my, you set your goals and stuff.
oh,
Being such a newbie, I put down, I want to get down to 185, which I got down to 180, so I was thrilled. I wanted to get to
amazing.
14% body fat. I got to 14.8, so I call it a win. I
Yeah.
said, and I wrote, and my abs will be clearly defined, and, and I didn't realize at the time, like you have to be like in single digits for. So
Darn it.
I still got that goal to get further. So I'm not stopping now, but that was the only unrealistic goal I kind of set, was that I thought I'd see my abs at like 14, 15% body
You're
fat, but you
right.
need much skinnier than that to see them. So
But that's okay. It's more important
yeah,
that you're healthy. You can probably
yeah,
see your liver now if you did an x-ray.
yeah, exactly,
And that
exactly.
that's probably, gonna help you in the long run the most. But well, Mark, this has been incredible. Your story is so inspiring. Is there anything else you would like to share, or anything you would tell yourself now that you're on this phase of the challenge? What would you tell yourself before you started it?
Um, so really, it would be just it works. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, there's all these different things out there that might work short term, real quick, and then, like I said, you yo-yo back and stuff. But this worked. I mean, 8 months, I'm like a completely different person. I fixed my health, got a lot stronger, lost all this weight, changed all my clothes. I mean, make sure you have some money for new outfits and things, because that it does cost you more than just the book, because you have to buy all new clothes when you lose all the weight. But
Darn
it's a
it, you're gonna
great
have to go
problem.
shopping and things will just
It's
look good on you again.
Yeah, it's an awesome problem to have.
Yeah.
But you have to do it. You have to really just commit to doing it. You could start slow, try out, like I said, a couple of the principles. Start with counting your calories and creating a deficit, but you've got to add all those elements in, and it'll
Mhm.
absolutely 100% work. And then just keep going. Like we just finished the challenge. I'm still blown away that I won, but like the next, they have the million step challenge that just started. I'm going to be joining that.
Mhm.
There's a Rachel and Shayna from Inner Circle are doing Best Between Badass Challenge, they call it. So
Yes.
that's starting September 29th. So I'm gonna join that as well because it's just the consistency. You don't want to just do these things during those 12 weeks that there's an official challenge like in the summer or New Year's Eve or anything like that. You need to just stay consistent all the time and keep adjusting your goals, keep redoing your calories as you get slimmer, because you will get slimmer. So then just keep adjusting and going for it. And it works. I mean, at the end of the day, if you follow it, it works, and it'll change your life for the better. And I'm so grateful that I, used a credit to buy Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle on Audible because I don't even know how long I would have been around. It's the God honest truth. If I didn't make the changes I did, because I was really headed for, not sticking around long for everybody with how sick I was, and I feel amazing. So. It works.
Congratulations. Congratulations. If you haven't read the book yet, if you're listening to this, you probably are familiar with Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle. But if you haven't, we'll put a link below to where you can find the book. Join us at burnthefatinnercircle.com. Come be part of the community. Find us on Facebook under Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle. And come be like Mark. Mark did it. You can do it too. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.